What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and this is a follow-up to my prior video, where I covered essences that you'll probably want to consider buying with your Echoes of Ny'alotha. Speaking of which, I kinda might have forgot to mention an essence to include in that video. As a minor essence in Mythic Plus, the Spirit of Preservation is quite potent, but it's locked behind Revered with the Rajani faction in Veil of Eternal Blossoms. In Raid though, it's pretty much basically never used. Just wanted to throw that out there for anyone who might have saw I didn't include that on the list, as it is a pretty legitimate minor essence, but it does take a lot of grinding to get rank 3 of, which is the better version of it. If you don't know what video I'm referring to, you might want to check it out. I'll leave a link up on the screen for you if you're interested. And sometimes I wish my memory was a little better, because I also forgot to mention that the Corruption Vendor restock for US servers is occurring the day this video comes out, which is Friday. Meaning, I have a Google Drive sheet for the channel so you can keep an eye of what corruptions will be available for you to purchase. This will also cover EU servers as well, but they obviously are about 16 hours behind us as far as the Corruption Vendor restock. So if you didn't know about it, boom, there you go. Anyways, this video will cover all of the essences you shouldn't buy, but not because they're bad. These essences are actually all pretty good in most scenarios, and you're probably already using a couple of these on your alts without having spent a single echo on them. Much like the last video, I'll break this up into which ones are good as majors or minors, and if there's any overlap, I'll just mention both at the same time. If you end up liking the video, I have plenty of other things I cover on my channel if you're new to the whole thing of Shibas randomly appearing and usually being upset, and or mischievous at some point while still giving you some hopefully useful information. If you already knew all that, you're most likely one of my supremely awesome subscribers, so if you are, thank you very much and I'm glad you like the content. Okay, so let's get this started with major essences. The first on our list is an exceptionally popular one, and it's also absurdly easy to get rank 3 of with little time invested. Vision of Perfection. This essence comes from the Operation Mechagon dungeon upon killing King Mechagon. Or so you'd think. Since the dungeon is part of the Mythic Plus rotation and has been split into 2 halves, you can easily spam low-level keys to earn every rank of this essence in quite literally a day if you're willing to binge on it. You'll get rank 1 the first time you clear a Mechagon dungeon, and then you'll get the pattern to craft rank 2 from another clear. The last rank, however, will require getting 4 progression sprockets, which is where the grinding will start to come into play. As from what I've heard, it's not a guaranteed drop if you're not doing it on regular Mythic, which you can only loot once a week, but on Mythic Plus you only have to do half of the dungeon. So yeah, just bang out some 2s or 3s and you'll get this essence exceptionally quickly. For those who don't know what it does, basically as a major it will proc whatever Blizzard has determined your major cooldown is for your spec at random intervals. This essence is absurdly popular for both Holy and Retribution Paladins, Vengeance Demon Hunters, Beast Mastery Hunters, Destruction Warlocks, and probably even more. As a minor effect, it reduces the cooldown of your major cooldown by up to 25% based on the level of your Heart of Azeroth. This is also a very popular minor trait, so yeah, this is definitely one of the best and easiest essences you can earn pretty quickly. Next on the list is Memory of Lucid Dreams. This essence comes from the Nazjatar faction of your side, being either the Unshackled for the Horde or Waveblade and Cohen for the Alliance. Earning this essence requires doing a lot of daily combat quests with your follower of choice, as you need to reach certain amounts of combat experience with your followers to unlock each rank. Even at rank 1 though, this essence is absurdly strong as a major for specs like Prot Pally, Fire Mage, Arms Warrior, and Destruction Warlock. Again, there are probably even more depending on the content they're doing, but these are all the specs that I know of that make very effective use of this essence. Essentially, get it? Because I'm talking about essences. Alright, yeah, I know. I have to wait a few episodes between bad puns for the bruises to fade a little, jeez. Anyways, what this essence does as a major is slightly different for each spec that it's potent for. But as an example, for my Fire Mage, the on-use effect of Lucid Dreams will cause my Fire Blasts to recharge at twice the normal speed for the duration. As you can imagine, that makes for an exceptionally powerful burst to line up with your Combustion and Rune of Power. This effect changes based on the class and spec that it's being used in, hence why this can be hit or miss in general as a major. However, as a minor, it's also exceptionally potent. This again changes based on spec, but it will often give you 50% of whatever resource you use back when you use a move, and heal you, and give you a verse proc. By far, this is one fantastic minor essence, since it does triple duty as a DPS increase, a self-heal, and a defensive. Oh, and rank 2 is also pretty quick and easy to get, since the combat experience requirement was cut in half at some point compared to the original amount. However, the rank 3 version isn't really a huge DPS increase other than gaining that verse proc. I mean, that is an increase, but is it an increase worth 2,500 echoes, or maybe just grinding out some dailies for a couple extra weeks? I'll let you decide that one for yourself. Next up is Essence of the Focusing Iris, also known as Laser Beam, Kamehameha Wave, Hadouken, or whatever other silly anime/video game name people have transplanted into WoW for it. This is the DPS essence from Mythic Plus, and allows the user to shoot a giant frickin' laser beam from their hands like a Dragon Ball Z fighter. It's cool looking, deals strong AoE burst damage, and is exceptionally easy to earn rank 1 and rank 2 of. Literally all you'll need to do for earning this beamy boy is completing a +4 for rank 1, and a +7 for rank 2. Rank 3 is not technically a DPS increase, as it just allows for movement while channeling the beam, but it's definitely a quality of life improvement. As a major, this is basically one of those things you can use on any fresh 120 character if you're just getting into Mythic Plus or just in general, as it's honestly pretty darn powerful if you don't have anything else yet. At higher levels, once you have a bunch of other essences, the specs I see using this the most still are basically just Frost Mages and Havoc Demon Hunters, though I'm sure plenty of others use it to a very potent effect. As a minor, you really need to be a class that values haste, which is actually quite a fair number of them, so still not a bad minor even. Worldvein Resonance is another essence I would frankly never spend echoes on. Quite literally, you can have rank 2 of this essence within 1 day of a character hitting 120. You earn rank 1 of the Worldvein Resonance from capping your island expeditions for the first time, and you earn rank 2 just by doing island expeditions and collecting 15 fragments of Zemlen's Lost Treasure Map, which are awarded at the end of each expedition. Once you have 15 fragments, you'll combine them to make a map, which will give you a follower mission that takes 1 day to complete. So yeah, literally about 45 minutes of work at most for a rank 2 essence, once you wait for the mission to come back, hopefully successfully. This essence is an okay major for some classes that value primary stat decently, as it does give quite a lot of stats when you use it. Basically, it spawns a bunch of Azerite spikes on the ground, and the more Azerite spikes there are on the ground, the more primary stat you get, so you want to stand close to them to use this essence. It also gains more effectiveness if a lot of people in your group are wearing it, but honestly that is not terribly likely unless you coordinate this ahead of time. The minor is pretty weak to say the least, but overall this is a super easy essence to get, though it doesn't see much use overall to be honest. Now we have Crucible of the Flame, the OG Azerite Essence. This essence is shared between all 3 types of characters, so DPS, healers, and tanks can use this one. This essence is honestly still a pretty popular option for tanks and healers looking for a little extra DPS, and for tanks especially, it's kind of a nice way to instantly get threat on something from far away. This is quite literally the easiest essence to get in the game now. No joking. You're guaranteed to have rank 1 of this as soon as you even start playing and going through Nazjatar, which you have to do to unlock the Heart of Azeroth and basically all relevant content. You don't have to finish anything in Nazjatar, by the way. Just get to the part where Magni shows up and starts going, "Champion, you need to return to the Chamber of the Heart! Azeroth needs your help!" Or, some other Diamond Dwarf nonsense, I don't know. This essence's ranks are tied to the level of your Heart of Azeroth, and with how quick the artifact knowledge catch-up has gotten, you'll basically hit level 60 of your neck just by walking out the front door at this point, especially since they'll automatically put your Heart of Azeroth at level 50 just by doing this quest chain. I'm sure you all know what this essence does already, since it's literally the first one you get, but it lets you slap an enemy or an ally upside the head with a little fireball, so it'll hurt enemies or heal allies. It also has a nifty little ramp-up effect for each time you use it, so you'll sometimes get some pretty good crits with it. So yeah, never, ever, ever, ever spend echoes on this, guys. Seriously. You just have some quests to do and that's it. Don't do it. These next few essences are for our giant meat shields out there. Strength of the Warden is quickly going to get the reputation as the tanking meme essence, I'm sure, with how many tank runs are going through Ny'alotha with 30 tanks. As a minor essence, it's honestly a pretty good self-heal, especially when you have a very large health pool. The major is kinda sorta like the tanking equivalent of Blood of the Enemy, as it makes you shoot out an AoE taunt that makes all enemies hit by it take 50% more damage. But the real reason this becomes a meme is because the 3% increased max health for every tank in your group, resulting in some pretty bonkers interactions with Twilight Devastation. This is one of the essences you earn from clearing horrific visions by collecting Sparks of Unwavering Strength. Because of all the catch-ups Blizzard has been adding to the visions, doing full clears should be relatively quick to do even on newer alts, so there really isn't much of a point to paying Echoes for this essence, unless like your guild was doing a tank meme run on the weekend and you didn't have this essence yet, then maybe you'd be tempted. But honestly, you'll earn this one pretty fast, and it's somewhat of a niche essence to use as a major. It's a pretty legit minor though. This next one is another somewhat niche tanking option, but it's honestly kind of fun to play with and it's really easy to get, so I figured I'd include it as well. Anima of Life and Death is the tanking Mythic Plus essence and is interesting to say the least. This is a pretty beefy AoE burst of damage that will heal you for a flat percentage of your health, up to 50% of your max health if you have rank 3, and up to 25% of your max health if you have rank 2. This one again is very quick to earn, as you only need to complete a +7 keystone to get rank 2. The minor is nothing to write home about, unfortunately, hence why I'd only say you would want rank 3 if you kinda liked using this and it would give you some extra healing factor, as the damage doesn't change with any rank of the essence. Kinda niche, but also a nice early on tanking essence since it will let you generate a lot of threat and heal you too, so not a bad choice if you're just starting out as a tank. Oh, and you know how I said I'd separate out majors and minors unless they were both good? Yeah, well, here's our singular minor essence for the list. Aegis of the Derp. I mean, Deep. Aegis of the Deep. So this essence is another of the Unshackled / Waveblade and Goin rep grinds, meaning getting rank 3 takes quite a bit of time. However, this essence, even at rank 2 for a minor, is a pretty sizable defensive. It gives a stacking burst buff based on your Heart of Azeroth's level, and the stacks are determined by how many enemies are near you. This can stack up to 10 times, which results in a pretty sizable amount, somewhere around 770 verse if you have at least 10 guys around you. This amount is then doubled if you're below 35% health, meaning quite a lot of free verse to help you take less damage and heal more, especially when you're already that low on health. The rank 3 version does offer a modest healing over time effect, but getting rank 3 takes a bit of time if you don't want to use Echoes on this, which I honestly wouldn't. Mainly because the effect is only strong in Mythic Plus or in fights with lots of enemies like, I don't know, Carapace or Hivemind or Vexiona. That, and the major essence is pretty weak to be honest. Still, definitely worth getting rank 2 as a solid defensive at the very least, and then maybe splurging for rank 3 if you have all the stuff that you want to buy. Otherwise, just do the dailies in Azerite for a couple weeks. Whew, okay, so this took a little longer to explain than I imagined it would when I thought of this idea. Due to that, the last part of this little trilogy is going to be done separately. Basically, I'll just be covering the remaining essences and why you'll be hard-pressed to find a need for any of them, really. Some of them aren't that bad, or they're just very niche in usage. Anyways guys, I hope you liked the video. I'm hoping to have a little discussion vlog type thing for the weekend coming up, since the channel is just hitting 2 months old this week, so that's pretty freaking awesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, maybe take a peek at some of my other videos I have. There should be a super charming and saucy one on the screen right now if you want to take a chance on what the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like. I mean, it is basically Skynet. I think this thing knows what I'll be eating for lunch tomorrow before I do. Anyways, thanks again for checking out the channel. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.